welcome to another episode of Influence and Growth Mastery. Today, I have another wonderful guest with me, Priscilla Hart. Priscilla, welcome to the podcast today. I'm so thrilled that you're here. Why don't you take just a moment and introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do?
And thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here on the Influence and Growth Mastery podcast with you, Tonya. So I'm Priscilla Hart, and I am in real estate. I'm with Pacific Sotheby's International Realty in the greater San Diego area. So I do real estate primarily in Southern California. San Diego is my pocket of expertise, but I'm licensed throughout the state of California. So really anyone who's in the whole entire state from the Bay Area all the way down here to San Diego, I can be of service.
Wonderful. I love that. So Priscilla, how long have you been in real estate and how did you actually get involved in real estate?
Sure. So I've been in real estate for 4 years. So I just renewed my license. So 4 more years, here we come. And I got involved in real estate, I would say first by being a homeowner. So I bought my first home in 2015 in South Carolina and bought my second home here in Southern California in Temecula in 2018. And while I was in the process of purchasing the home in Temecula, which is kind of just north of San Diego County, the realtor who I was working with said, you know, you sound like a real estate agent. You should get your license. And I said, you know what? Why not? So I started studying for the exam and got my license in 2018, the same year that I purchased my second home.
Wow. It's so funny how oftentimes that's how we get into business because people say, you sound like you would really be good at this.
Right, right.
So then I'm assuming then real estate was not something you wanted to do when you were younger. Would that be accurate?
No, it wasn't something that was on my radar at all. So it's really been a total surprise to be in this industry for sure.
I love it. So I understand that you can do real estate internationally, or you have a team that allows you to refer internationally to help people like me. If I wanted to purchase something, let's say maybe I reached out to you and I said, I want to buy a home or a second home, vacation home in Spain. Can you help me with that?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the reasons why I joined Sotheby's International Realty, because the network is just really incredible. So we do have agents all over the globe. So I'm able to liaison and kind of be a real estate connoisseur, so to speak, and get you connected with someone who would be an expert in whatever area of the world that, you know, you envision yourself in, whether it's for a total retirement relocation or a vacation home, like you mentioned.
Wow, I love that. So let me give you a scenario. I'm 56 years old, soon to be 57. It's just happening way too fast. So let's say that, you know, I'm looking at retirement and I want to buy, I mentioned a home in Spain and maybe I want to buy a home in Miami, maybe a condo in Miami. And I have these goals, these dreams, but I really don't know, Priscilla, exactly what I want it all to look like. But I'm starting to build it all out.
Right.
And with you being someone that can do things internationally, but I just need somebody that knows the space that can help me work out my dreams. Are you that person, or can you refer me to somebody that can help me in each of those areas? Or what do I need to do in that situation as I start my planning for that?
Absolutely. So I consider myself a lifestyle consultant first. So I'm in the industry of real estate But I really consider myself a lifestyle consultant because I really believe that real estate dreams, goals, and visions all revolve around lifestyle, right? And so when you say, hey, a condo in Miami, you're probably picturing yourself on the beach every day. You're probably picturing yourself walking to go shopping and having that walkable lifestyle, right? So we're going to have those conversations. So I really love to do an in-depth consultation. I don't like to present to anyone because I don't think people like to be presented to. So I consider our conversations a consultation and an opportunity to create a roadmap and also just do some vision casting, right? I want to get an idea of what it is that you imagine or what you think you want. And then as we delve deeper into the discussion, then we can talk about, how does that show up financially? How does that show up with your career? How does that show up with your family? And then marry all of those factors. I've actually been obsessed with this little Rubik's Cube lately. It's a little mini one. And so I almost consider it like a fun adventure. It's a puzzle, and we get to bring all these pieces together and then create the beautiful picture that you're envisioning. So absolutely, I love to guide people and just enter that creative process of what are some different choices and opportunities that we consider, because maybe you're thinking Florida, but then when we consider your budget and your family lifestyle, perhaps there's some other locations you haven't considered that I could bring into the conversation so that you can see what's going to, really help you realize the vision that you have.
Wow, I love that. Having grandkids, wanting to be able to entertain.
Sure.
So those are some things that come to mind, wow. This just brings, it brings up a lot of things. I'm thinking, purchasing something already fully designed, something that I want to design myself,
right.
All of those different types of options. And so I'm sitting here thinking, you're not the typical real estate agent that I'm actually picking up the phone and calling and say, hey, Priscilla, there's this house that's setting on block, 124 Main Street, and I want to go look at it. Or there's this office building that I want to go look at. Can you take me to, actually see the floor plan?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's part of the business, right? That's obviously part of my occupation, but I've just had such a privilege of being able to live internationally myself in Japan for 9 years. I've lived in South Carolina. I've lived in all these different places. So I've had exposure to different homes, different atmospheres, different lifestyles. And so I think sometimes people don't consider the full picture. I met a woman at the airport who was retired herself, had grandkids, loved being with her family, and she lived on the East Coast, and all of her family was here in California. But when we started talking about the possibility of her being closer, she said, well, based on the cost of relocating to California and selling my home on the East Coast, where I actually have a lot of my community, my husband and I love where we live. We really just enjoy traveling too, and it's more cost effective for us. So, sometimes the final answer is not to sell or not to buy, and to, adjust some other things. So that's part of the conversation too, is being willing to say, well, buying or selling maybe isn't the best option for you, and being okay with that. So, yeah.
Should I take the market trends into consideration to my thoughts?
Sure. I mean, the market always influences people, right? People say, well, what's going on with the interest rates? What's happening with the inventory and things like that? But I like to say that real estate decisions should be driven by you and whatever your goals and your intentions are. And we will bring the market into consideration. But if you let the market drive you, then you might find yourself feeling disempowered. You might find yourself feeling overwhelmed, like you're being tossed around by the happenings of economics, right? So I always say, the market's going to do what it does, but it's really all about you, right? So I ask people where they are in their career trajectory when we look at, the price of homes and what they're willing to spend every month. For people who are retiring, I ask them about their tax considerations. I ask them about the type of lifestyle they want to live, because perhaps they'd rather have more money to spend to do things and enjoy life than to invest into their house payment. So maybe that 2-bedroom condo is looking amazing because it's closer to the beach rather than that 3,000 square foot home that entertains all of the grandchildren and seems like the right vision. But then you have money to do things for yourself and travel to see your grandkids. So it really just depends, on what you're working with financially, what your goals are, and then how your career and your family are influencing the factors of where you want to live. So I like all that to be taking the lead and be the driving force, not the market, because the market changes and fluctuates, but it's really life that you should be living, and the life choices you want to make that should drive your real estate decisions.
That's some really, really good points there. Some really good points. So what do you enjoy most about selling real estate? And then I guess my second question would be, what do you enjoy most working with your clientele?
Sure. Excellent questions. I would say I love working in real estate because there's always something new happening. There's always something changing or dynamic that I get to learn and challenge myself to understand so that I can bring that top tier, knowledge and information to my clients. Because the more that I stay educated and stay on top of trends and happenings and things that influence real estate, then the more empowered my clients are. And when I get to empower my clients, they get to make these really confident, bold decisions that really change their life, right? So I love when people are able to see what they can do, how capable they really are, that, wow, okay, we really can afford a home. Wow, we actually can live in this area that we thought, right? We actually can do this. So I think just seeing that shift in their mentality and then being with them in that race, helping them to achieve their goal, it really excites me. It really makes me happy and passionate. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. So that, of course, is very dreamy, right? Their first home. I also have worked with, clients in their 70s and 80s who are transitioning into, a new phase of life, moving out of state or moving from a mountain cabin down to the beach. So just helping people bring their vision into reality. I mean, it's really, really fun for me, and I love it. So
I can see that too. So I have all these questions come into my mind, and I'm like, Tonya, which order do you ask these in? And then some of them may go by the wayside, but what about property as well? Do you get into property?
So meaning investments or rentals or things like that, or land?
Land.
Yes. Okay. A lot of people ask me about land. They get really excited because I think everyone wants to feel that sense of freedom. And I feel like land and freedom seem to be like synonymous with each other. So, yeah, absolutely. I can assist people with purchasing land. I think what a lot of people don't know about purchasing land is that the financing on purchasing land is a little bit different than purchasing traditional real estate. So a lot of times, the way that you can finance buying a single family residence, for example, is going to be have a different qualifying process depending on if you're paying cash or if you're using a loan or assets to assist you with that purchase versus land is likely to demand more cash buyers just because of the way that those sellers operate and depending on the price point. So yeah, there can be some different considerations around land. And then there's other things to explore. What do you intend to use that land for?
Right.
Do you want it for hunting? Maybe you want to have it as recreational land. Do you want to build on it in the future? Do you want to create a resort or have a farm, right? There's so many different things. So you want to make sure that your intention matches what the property actually allows, right? So you might say, hey, look at this great deal on 40 acres and it's all marshland and it's really only designed for, hunting. You're not going to be able to build a house on it. So we got to make sure that you have an agent who's going to say, hey, here's the deal. Not, okay, sure, buy it. Have fun. Have a great life, right? I mean, I think every, person in a profession has a standard, to have fiduciary responsibility and to inform you and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
Well, I think that goes back to your expertise, talking about you specifically, your expertise and your passion for helping people, live out their dreams. But the thing that I was thinking about when the land came to my thought process was when you were talking about helping people get their first home and seeing the excitement that they had. The thing that came to my mind was that dream of building that first home or, being in a home for 20 years, 30 years, and then being able to buy their first piece of property and then building that first home. I remember when my husband and I built our first home and then we sold that home and, made a profit and then took that and then built and upgraded our next home and then took that and then built what we thought was going to be our retirement home. And then we ended up building this 4,000 square foot home and we lived in it, or I lived in it for 1 month and then got called 2 hours away to work here in Little Rock. And so it became my weekend home. And so, he lived there. I lived here in an apartment complex. And then after several years, we just decided we just need to sell that. And so it was like all of this effort that I put into my dream home and then ended up selling it. So it didn't stay my dream home. So now I'm thinking of my next dream home and I want a condo in Miami. That's where that condo came from or that property in Miami came from because I keep saying I am going to have a condo on the beach in Miami and I am going to do that. Now, Spain, I don't know, but I have these dreams of these properties and we do have a cabin on a river. Okay. And, so people should have somebody that they can work with and, dream about these luxuries that they want. Yes. And, so as you're talking, I'm going through this dream process with you as you're talking about these things. And so I hope that my audience, when they listen to this, that they're doing, the very same thing, but to live that out is one thing, but to know that there really is people. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. I mean, I guess I've never thought about there being a someone realtor like you. I'm not used to the big cities like where you live.
Sure.
I'm used to the realtor being the realtor who I call up and say, there's a property on this corner down here. I want to go look at it.
Right.
That's what I'm used to. And so I know there's probably people going to listen to this podcast and laugh and say, she lives in Arkansas. Because my podcast is now in 99 countries,
wow.
which is phenomenal. Yes, it's so exciting. But to know that someday I could call up Priscilla Hart and say, Priscilla, I really need you to find me a place in Spain.
Right.
And this is the luxury that I want there. And so, to know that you can do that and then listen to the passion that I have in my dream and then go find that for me is fabulous. I mean, I've looked on your website and you have one home that I saw and was like, oh my gosh, this outdoor kitchen is beautiful. And I'm like, and we had an outdoor, we had it to where we were going to build an outdoor kitchen. It was partially built, but it wasn't finished. But we had an outdoor game room, and then we had it built for the in-ground pool. And we didn't finish that part before we left.
Right.
But to have that started and to know what that dream process is. And so, but to see that on there, I was like, that takes me to that dream that I know that you do for people. So, tell me a little bit about, I mean, I know, and I'm going to look over here on my notes, but you have this passion to encourage and edify and inspire others, to live boldly through what you do for them in your real estate business. Talk about that a little bit and how you incorporate that.
Absolutely. So it's really about exploring what's possible. I think a lot of times as we grow in age, maybe I just turned 35. So for me, that's, wow, this is a big milestone.
So how does it happen so fast?
Right. So as we grow in age and as we grow in responsibility, whether that's becoming a spouse or a partner to someone or a parent, right? I have a 5-year-old. So we start to, I think, get more practical, as we should, right? Because we have more responsibilities. But then I think sometimes we get into this headspace of, well, I've got to do what's realistic. I've got to do what's safe. I've got to do, what's practical. And what I want people to continue to do is explore what's possible. And I think that sometimes we need someone to encourage us to see what's possible beyond the realm of what's maybe in our immediate environment, what's in our immediate experience, because sometimes we get into that realistic mindset only because of our limited experiences. And so I find that it's a joy to work with people as well, because I get invited into their experiences and I get invited into their possibilities, right? So I really believe that when people start to explore what's possible and, hey, here's another possibility, they start to live a more emboldened and empowered life. Like, I loved hearing about your story of your real estate journey throughout your lifetime, because sometimes we have these plans and we make these plans and these goals. And then things change, right? So being able to flow with life, but also still move forward towards whatever it is that we want to go after, right? You said, well, I'm building the dream home, I'm going for it. But if we kind of get stuck in the like, well, what if this changes, or what if that doesn't work out? So that's why, I said, just go for it. Sometimes you have to just go for it or go all in and see what happens. Not in a totally reckless or irresponsible way, right? But in a a live and emboldened way, right? So I do that, of course, with information and guidance. I always tell my clients, I'm going to give you everything you need to know. And then here you are, you're in the driver's seat. So you get to make the decisions on how bold you want to go or how conservative you want to be. But either way, I want you to feel like, wow, I did that, right? So I did that. And then you get to live and learn as you go, right? So I really
absolutely
want to start somewhere in real estate, because I think that, sometimes we'll say, well, if I can't get the perfect house in the perfect neighborhood and the perfect circumstances, I'm just never going to buy a house. And then 20 years pass by and you go, wait a minute, what happened, right? So I love people to start where they are, right? Start where you are. And then there's so many possibilities with a property, right? Like maybe that dream home, maybe the best option was to sell it, or maybe you turned it into an Airbnb. Maybe if it had, 2 acres, you turned it into a wedding venue, and then that actually created some kind of an income opportunity for you to invest somewhere else. So there's so many benefits you get as a property owner to leverage the equity, leverage the tax position. So there's these other factors that come into play. Renting it out, you get to keep building the equity while someone else is paying the mortgage.
Right.
So, yeah, I just want people to know that there's different ways to, leverage real estate, and there's different starting points that you can build from, and you can keep building and growing. That's what this podcast is all about, is like growth and mastery. So
yes,
part of that, life process. I want people to explore what's possible.
And I love, Priscilla, how you said live and learn, because I'm going to give you and the audience another example. Because as I said, we built our dream home with that last one that we built.
Yeah.
And I mentioned 4,000 square feet. So we went from like 2,800 to 4,000, which was huge.
Right.
And then we put all of the things that we wanted in there, from oak hardwood flooring to the granite to, customized cabinets to everything. Well, when you go to appraise that thing and get comparables in a small town, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's really tough.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, we suffered the consequences of that in the end. And then I'll also tell you, when you go to clean that thing and you go to maintenance that thing, it's hard.
Yeah.
And so we learned a lot of hard lessons through that process. And so then, coming down to a 3-bedroom apartment complex, that's like, I think it's 1,700 square feet. So from 4,000 to 1,700, huge difference. You got a lot of clutter that you've got to get rid of. And so then living in that, and then you don't have to take care of maintenance.
Yeah.
You call somebody for maintenance. You don't have a yard to mow and take care of. You don't have landscaping that you're having to put wood chips in or rock in twice or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And so I have to tell you, we have, since we've been living in an apartment complex until we decide where we're going to land for retirement, we have come accustomed to smaller, not having to mow, not having to do landscaping, not having to keep up with the downpours of the rain washing out the driveway, not having to clip trees all the time. I'm telling you, that will spoil you as well. And so we've learned a lot of lessons. And so now, as we're about 4 years now into making that determination of where we're going to land, there's lots of discussion around do you build? Do you buy? What's the square footage?
Yes.
Do you go back with wood flooring? Do you go with tile? Do you do the custom cabinets? Do you buy something that's smaller, older, remodel? There's a lot of decisions to be made. Yeah. And I can tell you right now, it will not be 4,000 square feet. It probably won't be 3,000 square feet. We're talking, we've gotten used to smaller, compact. Yeah. I would be fine with a condo. Again, not an apartment, but maybe a condo. I have settled. I don't have to have all that anymore. I don't mind calling in Molly Maid cleaning services. I don't mind all of that. And so you really find out. I love how you said, live and learn. Yes. There's the luxuries, but you can have the luxuries in the smaller things. Yes. I tell you, I've learned a lot. And so when you think about, you can have the smaller, but the multiples. Yes. Yes. You know, smaller here, the condo in Miami, another condo somewhere else. Yeah. The cabin on the river here. I'll take that any day. Right. Exactly. Than a 10, 12,000 square foot home somewhere that is a gazillion maintenance and headaches. No way. No way. Yeah. So the live and learns, I love those. But there are people who dream to have the 10,000, 12,000 square foot home. And I love that for them. I want them to have that if that's what their dream is. And so everybody's luxury is different. So you've just given so much value today. Oh, well, thank you for saying that. Yeah, exactly. You hit it right there. Everyone's luxury is different. And that's what I want people to focus on, is I want them to focus on their lifestyle, their family, their career. Yes. That's really what makes it a luxury, is whether it's actually synchronizing, harmonizing with their life. That's what you want in your life. You want harmony. So is this really working? Because 4,000 square feet, you say, well, who's going to clean this castle? And you're looking at him, he's looking at you. And you know what, do you love to cook at home? I mean, that's why some people want the large, expansive kitchen. They're like, I'm an incredible, brilliant cook, and I love my cooking. And that's what we do in this family, right? Other people, I remember my grandmother used to have a sign in her house. She said, my favorite dinner is, like takeout or eating out. She doesn't want to cook. She wants to dine out. And so, does your lifestyle support that you actually have more of a portion to dine and be in town and experience activities? Maybe you want to be yachting 3 months of the year. So you want, to have your yacht club membership. And so the condo actually matches for the yacht club membership lifestyle. And then you've also got, another place in Costa Rica, right? Rather than the one, big, like you said. Do you like variety and differentiation, or do you like that groundedness? So there's so many conversation points that happen around lifestyle and what luxury is. I've lived on a quarter acre and I've mowed that lawn and, maintained that and had more privacy and had 2 acres of pine trees in my backyard. And I never thought I would live in a home where I could probably reach out and touch my neighbor. Yes. But, the trade-off was I had a new baby and I couldn't see myself doing all that maintenance, but I walk 1 block and there's a public park with a 17-acre lake that I never have to maintain and that I can enjoy. So I said, you know what? I think I'm okay with the small concrete patio and a couple little planters. I still have an outdoor space, but I don't want to do all that work anymore. So it really just depends. And things that are important to you change as your life changes. Yes. So that's reflective of
what's driving your real estate decisions. It's life.
It's life. It's life. And everybody deserves their dream.
Yes. Everyone deserves their dream. Amen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Everybody deserves their dream. And I want everybody to reach their dream. So I love that. Yes. I just started following you recently, but I don't know if you've seen on my Facebook page, but for Father's Day, I put a post of Cracker Barrel being delivered at my door for my husband for Father's Day. I said I took care of my husband for breakfast. And it did get a lot of comments, but, you know, he loves Cracker Barrel breakfast. We love it. We both love it.
I love Cracker Barrel. I miss it so much. It's harder to find. There is one maybe about an hour away, but that's one thing I miss about the South. Some of those places, you know, I really miss, oh gosh, what's Waffle House? I miss Waffle House.
Yes. We have those everywhere here, but same here.
Ribs. I miss all those things.
Yes, same here. We did order Cracker Barrel over the weekend too, and I ordered breakfast, and they sent my pancakes without syrup, and I'm like, what the heck? How do you eat pancakes without syrup? And he was like, I had one left from the other day. You could have that leftover. I was like, it's a good thing because I'm going to be mad if I cannot eat my pancakes. But, and then I ended up not eating them, and I had them yesterday for lunch. So, I had one of them for lunch instead of the 3, but you know, my kitchen can be the same size as my laundry room because that's me. I don't do that much cooking, but yeah, everybody deserves their dream. And I love it that that's one of your favorite parts about what you do is being able to help people reach their dream. And as I've worked with people or interviewed people on podcast, that's one of the favorite parts of everybody's journey in their business is serving their clients and help them reach their dream, whether it's in coaching, consulting, real estate, whatever it is helping people reach their dream, whether it's, you know, financial success, finding their home, whatever. And I love that because that's what helps make us successful is helping people reach their dreams. So if you could give anybody in the audience that listens to the podcast some type of tip, whether it's a buying tip, selling tip, or just a personal tip in general, what would that be?
Wow, that's a great question.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, ooh, just one. Yeah. I think I would probably have to say just go for it, right? Sometimes you just have to move forward and take that action and go for it. So what I notice about people who want to buy, for example, is people can get very self-conscious about their finances, right? When you enter into that buying process, it's like, woo, full exposure. Oh my gosh, right? And it can feel, like someone's looking in your panty drawer. I don't know. You're like, don't look in here. You know, this is private. Yes,
I agree.
And yet that is actually the first step. So people say, well, I know this is not right. I want this to change. I really feel like this has to be improved before I can go explore that process. And I just want to tell anyone who, you know, wants to be a homeowner, who wants to buy property, who wants to invest in real estate, just go through that exposure process, because when you bring the light in of, you know, experience and education and understanding to what your present financial picture is, and then you look at your goal, you get to start taking steps towards the dream. But the longer you kind of just hide in, if there's any shame or any guilt or any self-consciousness about that, well, all I know is I'm not where I want to be, then you never get to start making progress. And so I think what a lot of people don't realize is that it takes quite a bit of time for people to get to the actual key delivery moment. A lot of times I'll work with my clients for up to a year before they get to the key delivery moment. And people think, well, if I'm not ready now, I shouldn't even look. But if you actually start looking at your financial picture now by going through the pre-approval process, you can get there faster, because then every time you make a sacrifice, every time you make a decision that's helping you work towards that goal, it's purposeful. And purposeful action always feels more empowering than wandering without an aim, right? So if you know you want to be a homeowner, you know you want to acquire property, build assets, then let's go ahead and start that process so we can take steps toward the goal. So don't worry if it's not perfect right now, if you have, debts you want to pay off, and then you might find out that you're actually better positioned than you think you were, right? So you just, you don't know until
you start the process,
right? So just be willing to start, right? Just be bold to say, you know what? I may not be where I want to be, but I know where I want to go, and I'm going to get there, and I'm going to start taking some action towards that today. So
I love it. I love it. So if people want to reach out to you, where do they find you? On social media or email, whatever? Where do they locate you?
Absolutely. So Instagram would probably be the most accessible place that you can find me. And it's PriscillaHart.realestate. So that's a really easy place to find me. I'm also on Facebook, really accessible. Priscilla Hart, it's all the same. I'm on LinkedIn, Priscilla Hart. I do work with also, there's a ton of military bases in the San Diego, Marines and sailors. So I do work with active duty military and veterans as well. So heartforveterans@gmail.com is actually my email address. So that's there. And I have a tag for that on my LinkedIn, Heart for Veterans. So anyone who has that, military background, I can relate to your lifestyle, and we can talk about that as a sidebar, because I've had a lot of exposure to the military and the military lifestyle that service members live and that their families live, with relocating constantly and all the ins and outs of that good stuff. So I also have my website, of course, with my brokerage, Pacific Sotheby's. So you can find me, Priscilla Hart, with Pacific Sotheby's International Realty as well.
And then for the audience, keep in mind that she spells heart, H-A-R-T.
Yes.
Yes, H-A-R-T. And we will put that in the show notes as well, so that they can click on the link and find you on the social media. So, Priscilla, wow, what a ton of value. Thank you so much for joining me here on the interview today. You have been a wealth of knowledge, and I've learned a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I have learned a lot. I am so thankful for you to join us here. And so for those of you in the audience, until the next episode of Influence and Growth Mastery, have a blessed week, and we will see you soon. Bye.